Is the president and executive director of Jackson Catholic Schools, Tim DeWitt. Hi, Tim.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah.
Time's flown. We were talking before the show. Tim's just completing his third year as CEO at JCS. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been interesting. The first year, as my wife said, Tim, you're the only person I know that would start a new career in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah.
So I joined in the fall of 2020, or a little bit earlier than that. So 2020, the academic year of 20 and 21 was interesting in that we were masked up and we were trying to keep the doors open and so forth. And then 21, 22, pretty much the same thing. Mask on, mask off. Did we have Omicron? Didn't we? So COVID was still kind of systemic with us. But we hit about April 1st in 21 or 22. It was like, I feel like I can breathe a little. And so I had this sense of normality starting to set in. But it's not to say that we weren't productive, and it was not to say that we weren't doing things, because we had decided that we were going to do programming. And programming in terms of what does enrollment management look like? What does an organization look like to really run a school system or a school district within the Catholic school system, which has these interesting laws from the canons of the church about what you can do and what you can't do. So trying to figure those pieces out. And then once you figure out what that organization is, obviously the next piece is, who are the people to fill those positions? So sitting back, evaluating who we had on staff, where we felt our deficiencies were, and then go get them and then fill these strategic positions. And this year, the joke was, and I'll credit Stephanie Kristovic for this, who is our chief academic officer and provost. I said, Stephanie, I'm really excited about the 22-23 school year, because I think I would just like to have one normal year. And she looked at me and she says, not happening. And it did not happen. But the good thing is that we do have a stable environment, we have a stable organization in place. Anywhere from our chief academic officer, who really understands the academic side of Catholic education and also understands the operational side of Catholic schools, which is Stephanie. I put in a kind of a chief philanthropy officer position. It's kind of a higher ed way of doing things, but it's thinking about differently about how do we work with our donors? How are we more philanthropic? And I think most importantly, how do we become re-engaged and more active in the community? And Ted Ludlow, who's taken that position, does a great job. Lucian Leone, who is our director of our enrollment management programming for us, brought this higher ed type of programming with us. And so this is about doing a better job of understanding our market. So I think of our market as Jackson was this little circle. And so Lucian and I had a long conversation about how do we expand that circle. And the circle was expanded into Marshall. So we run shuttles and bus runs out of Marshall. We have Albion again back on our bus runs. We have families from there. And now, and we have a now solid bus run coming in and out of Chelsea now. We expanded out into the Michigan Center area also. So we have this kind of this circle became this very large concentric circle. Mm-hmm. One of the great things that you can do, that you want from your families, is the best marketing is your families. So what is it you want? Well, you want them to come back and you want them to talk about you. And so we're finding that word of mouth, some of the advertising we're doing, some of the outreach programming we do through our marketing group, the PART group, spearheaded by Kelly Schweitzer, that we are reaching these families. And sometimes you just have to go out and you just have to go sit down and have dinner with them and have a conversation. And I did a lot of dinners my first couple years. And we're just finding real success. We have great momentum. We think for this third consecutive year, our enrollment for all 4 of our schools will be up again. So we feel great about our future. We got the right people doing the right things. So I'm optimistic.
So the proof is in the numbers.
It is.
It's up at all 4 schools.
All 4 schools
Wow.
will be up, right.
All right, so the continued recruitment of students happens as soon as they're ready for school, even before pre and K, and it's that time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we're I wouldn't say aggressive, but we're pretty bullish about the work that we're doing for our pre-K programs for all 3 of our grade schools right now. So that's where it begins, to be quite honest. the pre-K into the kindergarten and the first grade. I mean, if you get them when they're young, and then they become part of that conduit that just moves forward for you. So pre-K is very important to us.
I was at Lumen Christi last week and noticed some of the improvements. There are some visual changes to the buildings, the athletic complex, and I think that's part of what you want to do is continue to make capital improvements.
That's exactly right. So at Lumen Christi alone, we've reinvested a little bit over $2.5 million worth of capital improvements. This summer, we'll finish finally all of our science classrooms. We'll have all of the new final upgrades done to them. We're doing a standard classroom, and we work with an architect to create the template or the model, or what does the new classroom start to look like. So we'll be putting that in motion this summer as well, and to go forward. You know, there's an interesting conversation that's happening, and I get called from parents, and they say, Tim, we see where you're investing in you know, the visitor bleachers for the football field, and we see, you know, the upgrades and the baseball field, and we saw the significant investment you made in the boys' locker room. When are you going to do something for the girls, right?
Yeah, you know, actually, that was the one thing that struck me. I went to the baseball game, and then I went to the softball game. Big difference.
Huge difference,
Yeah.
You bet. So I can tell you that our athletic priorities are the girls' softball. We want to move them up into the complex area. And then we also have, the architects have finally finished their renderings, and we've approved programming now to get the girls' locker room up to a varsity status. So those are the two big projects in front of us right now. It'll take some fundraising, but we're bullish that we'll get those done. But there's a really important comment to be made here, though, is that we talk about investments in our athletic programs, facilities and so forth. On a 2-to-1 margin, we have spent more on the academic side than we have on the athletic side. So if somebody asks me where I would put $1, I will always migrate into the academic side of our facilities to make sure that we have the best available resources and assets for our teachers and for our students on the academic side. That's where I will live first.
And I think in the community, the perception is that athletics does drive enrollment.
It does. Yep. Yeah. I'm freely to admit that. You know, we have great small programs, whether it's I think they call themselves the Little Titans or the Knights Football League. You know, that they have a tendency to migrate into our programming as such. But athletics does drive it. But we need to be more conscious about driving our athletic programs for our girls' sports. And in doing so, we have to make sure that we offer them the best possible facilities. And so that's why the two next athletic programs we do will be for the girls, no doubt.
Yeah, and it really is. The size of the facility, the age of the structure, the amenities.
Right.
There's, in every way.
Yeah. So somebody asked me, Tim, you know, if there's a number that you needed, you know, to really do everything that you want, what is it? And so I threw this number out, and then I followed up that, you know, there is never enough. In other words, there will always be something to change, something always to upgrade, new technology, new integrations, new programming. It just constantly keeps going for you.
Yeah, and I don't know if this happens anymore, but there were times in the history where a donor would give money and say, I want this. I want you to spend money on this. Right. And so you were, in order to accept their gift, you...
Yeah, so when the gift comes in, and so I bring this higher ed type of discipline when I was at Albion College. And that is, if somebody gives me $1 and says, I need that $1 to be spent on this specific program, there's both a legal responsibility to do that, and there's an accounting regs that tell us that we have to do that. And we have to restrict those funds. And if you tell me to spend that $1 there, I am required to spend those dollars there. And I can't change that. The only way it changes is if the donor comes back and says, I changed my gift agreement. But we have to be deliberate. We have to be honest with our donors.
All right.
And we are.
Yeah. So we've got, you've got 1 year of new administration, new principal at Lumen. And we've got some examples of your community involvement and your outreach. This, I think, the summer camp, you're welcoming everyone's welcome to the summer camp.
You bet.
And enrollment underway right now for that. What does camp look like?
So far, my understanding is the enrollment looks pretty good right now. It looks like we're going to have great summer camps for our 4th and 6th graders again. Our athletic programming, we'll have those types of athletic programming for our camps as well. So yeah, things look pretty good for the summer. So somebody asked me, Tim, are you anxious for the school year to end so that you can rest? And my response is, this job just doesn't rest. I might try to find a day here or two, but it just keeps going.
Your annual golf outing, and this has been going on how many years?
I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know.
37.
37. Thank you.
37th. And that's happening on June 19th.
June 19th, yeah.
I think at the country club.
It is the country club, yeah.
So you can be a sponsor of a hole.
You bet.
And register.
Mm-hmm.
Just scan that code.
Yeah.
Nice.
All the announcements and all the emails and all the big kind of marketing push went out earlier this week. So, and it has a lot of momentum. So away we go.
Nice. We've got a milestone anniversary for one of your parishes.
We
and
do.
That is St. John's.
St. John's, yeah. And so in 10 seconds or less, St. John's, when they told me it was going to be a normal school year, St. John's was the first to tell me it's not a normal school year. So over Christmas, if you remember, it was very cold weather, and so a teacher came in to, I think, feed some turtles, and when she walked in the building, walked into water, and frozen pipes, they burst. And literally, we had to shut down the half of that building, and then move all the classrooms, move all the teachers, move everybody over into the old JCMS side of the building. And we are still under construction and still trying to put that building back together.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite the mess. I have to give a shout out to Bill Mitch, who is the operations manager over at St. John's. He's really rolled his sleeves up hard over there. Mm-hmm. And his facilities crew has just been fantastic.
Did you know Bill Mitch was a producer here at JTV for several years?
I will tell you, I learned that in the past month. So that's the best I have. So.
Yeah. So the parish, St. John's Parish, is the oldest Catholic parish in Jackson. Mm-hmm. But the school, did it start as soon as the parish started?
No, I understand that the school really didn't start until, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 20 years after that, okay, when the school was established. It is the original Catholic school here in Jackson. Mm-hmm. One can talk about the great legacy of St. John's, but you also in tandem sometimes need to talk about the great legacy of St. Mary's Star of the Sea as well, especially some of the football games they had. That literally, I understand that the bishop had to step in and suspend a season where they couldn't play for a couple seasons because they just didn't like each other, it seemed though.
There was a bit of rivalry, and to this day, there are those graduates of St. Mary's High School and St. John's High School who they remain foes.
Yep. They do, and I know a few of them. That's for sure. Absolutely.
All right. So how did the spring fling and all that stuff go? I was out of town that weekend.
Yeah, so what we did is we centered around what we call the Bishop's Cup. Mm-hmm. And the Bishop's Cup is a sporting event for our 4 major high schools. So we had soccer, we had a baseball tournament going on, and we had girls softball being played. It was well attended. We had lots of people there. I think for the most part, everybody had a pretty good time. The bishop came down and did a mass for us at the end of it. Mm-hmm. The humor behind that is I'm talking to Bishop Boyer, and he said, so where's this Bishop's Cup? He said, should I see it? And I said, well, we really don't have one yet. He said, so why am I here? And I said, because you're the bishop. But it was a really good day. And it's really a day where we want to bring all Jackson Catholic school people together, all of our teachers, all of our parents, all of our students. So it was really nice.
I think the answer, Tim, would be it's the Bishop's Cup. Where is the cup?
Yeah.
Bishop.
Yeah,
yes.
That's right.
I think he's got probably a lot of chalices laying around.
I think you could spare one.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, so next year you'll hopefully get that straightened out. And we're getting ready for the first year of Lumen Christi being in the new Catholic sports conference.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, the Detroit Catholic League.
Yeah. How's that? Is everything in place?
I talked to Jesse Brown, our athletic director, a couple weeks ago. Schedules are set. We're ready to go. Now there will be some of our teams will still be somewhat migrated back into the some of the schools that were in the old I-8. I don't want to say the old I-8, but the I-8 program that they were in. But we're excited about moving forward. What we're trying to figure out is busing, transportation, those types of things, because we'll be traveling some distances to do these games. We will have some neutral sites and so forth, but we're really excited about it. We're really excited about it. So it really is the future of Lumen Christi athletics. This is where we belong.
All right, great to see you. Thanks for all the updates.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Been great.
Bet, President and Executive Director of Jackson Catholic Schools, Tim DeWitt. Well, you may have noticed